Yeah, lots of good memories about that. But we're here today to talk a little bit about your, I guess, one of your primary focuses now, which is
Yeah.
zero proof, or like, what's your preferred no ABV cocktail
Oh my
name?
God. Honestly, right now, it's an interesting line of like, because like, okay, so for me, it depends per restaurant, honestly, like how they want to phrase it. And how restaurants, even menus for drink names, right? People like to say, do you just say this is a Manhattan and then you just say what your riff is, or do you have some sort of punny name for it, right? And it's kind of like the same way with a spirit-free drink, or an alternative, or NWA or NA. Mocktail, I think sucks, right? Like straight away. It's in the name, and I think that words are important, and it's right there in the name. And I think that anything that's like an NA, a spirit-free, a dry drink, right? It's already going up an uphill battle. So for other people to sympathize with their friends going out with them, a mocktail doesn't really ring. You know what I mean? Especially if it's a place where they really put some care and thought into those into that drink. So that's like a really bad answer for you, right? I'm like, I don't have a great one because spirit free doesn't really ring or roll off the tongue, right? It doesn't necessarily hit the ear well. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and like I like to joke around and tell people I'm a spirit freak, right? Because like I love spirits in general.
Mm-hmm.
But if I spell freak with a free, I'm just not drinking. But it's just shades of it. Everybody knows mocktails. There's a national mocktail week this month as well too. So it may be a phrase that we're stuck with, and for some people, they may also not even think that that's negative. They're just, oh, that's what it's just called.
Sure.
So I also like NWA. So I love hip hop anyway. So an
Yeah.
NWA, not with alcohol, and it makes it fun for me too.
Yeah.
So
Well, I
yeah,
mean, yeah, in one sense, a bit of a tricky answer. In another sense, I think it highlights one of the, I guess, characteristics of the space, which is it's kind of squishy. It's hard to pin
yo,
down. It's hard to do well. And so, I mean, you'll have to, you're actually talking to somebody who I kind of appreciate the word mocktail. Now, not for like a really well made, like, super high end, like thoughtful culinary creation. I think that's a non-alcoholic cocktail. But I think like if we're getting really bent out of shape about mocktail, we also have to go and attack mock neck shirts and mock trial teams, and all
oh,
the
fair
other
enough.
all the other mocks that kind of mock turtle soup,
Eric,
like down.
I'm just sensitive, okay? I'm a sensitive guy, all right.
No, I
But
got you. I got you.
but it's clever at least, right? It rolls off the tongue. Mocktail,
Well,
people are used to it, and to be fair, if people are like, cool, that's what it is, and accepting instead of saying, what the f is that, and why would I even want something without alcohol? Like, we'll take it. You know what I mean? I'll mocktail, we'll take it.
Well, and that's my favorite thing about that word is rhymes with cocktail.
Yeah,
It's not a cocktail, but it kind of rhymes. It's in the same space, but it's not quite the same. It kind of what it does is it activates what I kind of refer to as the uncanny valley. Not just me. That's a technical term where it's like you're like something's not quite right here with
yeah,
mocktail. And I think with an actual non-alcoholic cocktail, and we'll kind of dig into some of the nuts and bolts here in a minute. I think the difference there is that something is right with that. With a real non-alcoholic cocktail, it's clicking on all cylinders in a way that a mocktail is not. There wasn't
yeah.
as much thought put in. So I think there should be gradients, but I also, and I think you'll sympathize with this, I also don't think that anything that's called a mocktail should cost nearly as much as a spirit free or non-alcoholic cocktail. I think it should be
Oh,
something
for
like a tea and
sure.
tonic, something like that.
Yeah, and those for me too. Like a lot of time, because someone last night we were doing a live Instagram live at the dry bottle shop last night, because and maybe I'll step to more of this later, but people making mocktails or spirit free alternative cocktails, or NA drinks, all of a sudden are making drinks at home maybe for the first time, and they don't know what to do with it, right?
Mm.
Um, and so it's similar to like, hey, I'd like to make a cocktail at home. Same thing. Like, what do I
Yeah.
start? What do I do? I know I can go to the ABC store and get a bottle, but what do I do with it after I procure that bottle, right? But someone said we were having a time about what a mixer is, right? And they're like, well, why can't you just use mixers for stuff? And I said, well, what's mixer mean to you? Because mixer to me might be like it throws shades of college to me as a mixer or like a party, and like I'm adding one thing and like now the drink is like complete. It's mixed as I pour it, so a carbonated something, and that to me is like a mocktail, right? Like it's like a mock beverage, etc., right?
Hmm.
Um, yeah, just an interesting thought, right? Like, what are mixers even, right?
Sure. Well, and
Yeah.
even that word mix is like I remember I looked into the etymology of it, and there's a promiscuity and a chaos associated with it. If you look up like the etymology of the word mix, it's
Yeah.
like it's mongrel, it's bastard, it's things that shouldn't necessarily
Oh,
be
yeah, just
touching.
yeah, yeah. So like
Hmm.
not an off, yeah. And so you're right. And we were saying words are important, right? And it's
Hmm.
like, but again, mixer, we also you'll find I'm on both sides of like whatever arguments are because I love cocktails and all that stuff too, but I live in this world as well. So anyway, it's both sides of that argument.
Yeah. Well,